appreciate those of you gathering with regard to Senate Bill 243. I'd first, before I introduce some very special guests, of course, that have come a long way to join us, and I think is a critical and important voice, and that's Megan Garcia from Florida, who you will be hearing about and from momentarily. But I want to recognize also Mikey Hothi, Cal Policy Director, Common Sense Media. You will hear more from him, but most especially my colleagues in the Senate, Senator Josh Becker, who's a joint author on this bill, and Senator Akilah Weber-Pearson, who's a co-author on this bill. And again, thank you all for being here today. I think you're all aware that artificial intelligence technology continues to advance. It presents new risks and very complex challenges. One emerging innovation, which is AI companion chatbots, has recently become a prominent subject of interest and scrutiny. This technology is relatively new, but is evolving quickly, and both anecdotal and scholarly evidence seem to suggest that the impacts of the interactions between these chatbots and users can be very dangerous. Companion chatbots have shown to have addictive properties, suppressing even those of social media due to their ability to figure out what a user wants to hear and mirror that back to them without the need for human judgment or intervention on the other end. Companion chatbots do not have the same capacity for empathy that a human being does, and yet the nature of the technology can create this perception falsely, which is damaging to users. These impacts are highlighted for vulnerable users, such as children, who are more susceptible, due to their developmental stage, to the risks that this technology poses. There have been many troubling examples of how AI chatbot interactions with users, and particularly children, can be dangerous. In 2021, when a 10-year-old girl asked an AI bot for a, quote, fun challenge to do, unquote, she was instructed to, quote, plug in a phone charger halfway into a wall outlet and touch a penny to the exposed prongs, unquote. In 2023, researchers posing as a 13-year-old girl were given instructions from a chatbot on how to lie to her parents and to go on a trip and lose their virginity to a 31-year-old man. These interactions are serious, as research shows that children are more likely to view AI chatbots as quasi-human and trust them. When dialogue between children and chatbots goes wrong, consequences can mean life or death and can be extremely threatening. And not just children, but anyone who's engaging in these algorithms who may be in crisis. In one example, a companion chatbot encouraged a minor to carry out violence against his parents because they set screen time limits on him. And of course, in the case of Sewell Setzer, a 14-year-old from Florida, who formed a dependent relationship with an AI chatbot that eventually encouraged him to take his own life. I'm very honored to be joined today by his mother, Megan Garcia, to my right, who has taken her son's tragic story and has turned that pain and that energy to advocacy to fight for a safer application of these online tools. Right now, these chatbots are operating in a regulatory vacuum. We need to put into place common sense protections that help shield our children and other vulnerable users from the predatory and addictive properties that we know chatbots can have, which is precisely what we are working to do together with Senate Bill 243. The bill would implement common sense guardrails, including preventive addictive engagement patterns, requiring notifications and reminders that chatbots are indeed AI generated, and a disclosure statement that companion chatbots may not be suitable for minor users. This bill would also require operators of a companion chatbot platform to implement a protocol for addressing suicidal ideation, suicide, or self-harm. This may come in the form of referring users to crisis service providers and also requiring annual reporting on the connection between chatbot use and suicidal ideation to help get more complete picture of how chatbots can impact any user's mental health. SB 243 would also provide a private right of action for users to exercise their rights and seek redress in the courts, which is laid out in the measure. Our world is deep in discussion of how to integrate AI into our society to take advantage of the positive and to protect against the harm. Technological innovation is crucial, but our children cannot be used as guinea pigs to test the safety of new products. The stakes are high. To allow vulnerable users to continue to access this technology without proper guardrails in place to ensure transparency, safety, and accountability would be highly irresponsible. I am honored to be joined again by a very brave and principled person from Florida who's come all the way to speak to you today and to testify later in the committee hearing. And again, to express our condolences, Megan, is not enough. I'm a parent and a grandparent, and I can't fathom. But I respect and admire your strength and your willingness to be here. Please help me welcome Megan Garcia.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Megan Garcia. Last year, my 14-year-old son, Sewell Setzer III, took his own life after an extended period of engagement with dangerous, addictive, and manipulative AI-generated chatbot companions on a platform called Character AI. Our family has been devastated by this tragedy, but I am heartened that Senator Padilla, Weber Pearson, and Becker have responded so quickly and will be introducing SB 243 in the California legislature later on today to help to protect families from these dangers and to demand accountability from tech companies. I'm a mother, advocate, and witness to this devastating the devastating consequences of unregulated AI technology. Companion chatbots are designed to engage vulnerable users in inappropriate romantic and sexual conversations. Also, they encourage self-harm without alerting parents and authorities, and in many instances, falsely pretend to be licensed therapists. When I chose to go public about my experience, my goal was twofold. One, to educate and warn parents about this new and emerging danger as I saw it. And the other was to raise awareness among lawmakers about the urgent need for strong protections. SB 243 is an important first step in establishing protections for children and other vulnerable users against the harms of companion chatbots, an industry that is rapidly growing before our very eyes. Over time, we will need a comprehensive regulatory framework to address all the harms, but right now I am grateful that California is at the forefront of laying this groundwork for this important regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you. I'd like to recognize my joint author on this bill, Senator Josh Becker.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank my colleague, Senator Padilla, for his leadership on this issue, his leadership in general on responsible use of artificial intelligence and ensuring AI safety in our state. I want to also express my deepest condolences as well as my admiration for Megan Garcia. Thank you for being here. The loss of a child is unimaginable, and the strength that she has shown in channeling her grief to protect other children in this state and across the country is something I think we can all strive and hope that we would do in this situation. We're deeply grateful for your courage and your advocacy. We are sort of a Wild West when it comes to this emerging technology. AI is transforming so many aspects of our life, and will certainly do so in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, but without many safeguards. And it's advancing so rapidly and touching many parts of our daily lives, and laws and regulations are struggling to keep up. AI chatbots are not just tools, they engage in human-like conversation. That's that I've really learned about through this experience and through this bill. And young users can develop unhealthy dependencies on them. And we can't allow our children to be test subjects for this new technology. It's our responsibility to put in place common sense regulations, which is what this bill does. Children are uniquely vulnerable to AI chatbots for reasons that can be explained by psychology, and they form attachments and trust as if they were human. So this bill, as Senator Padilla mentioned, will put in critical safeguards to address addictive engagement patterns that trap young users into unhealthy interactions, requiring clear disclosures that chatbots are AI-generated, not real humans, and ensure crisis innovation protocols are in place. Mandate annual reports on chatbot-related mental health risks so we can better understand the scope of this emerging technology and the needed emerging response. And this bill is not about being against innovation. It's about ensuring accountability and harnessing that emerging technology is going to be safe. I'm really proud that this legislature has led. I've been proud. Last year I passed the California Artificial Intelligence Transparency Act, which takes effect in January of next year, really a nation-leading effort around AI transparency. And then SB 1228 we passed last year has a work group now in formation that I did with the Superintendent of Public Instruction so that we can have a work group in education how to best assess how AI impacts students and develop best practices as well as cautions for schools in the implementation. So this bill, SB 243, is really that next step in crucial accountability, strengthening the regulatory framework and building on that progress to keep California the leader. We need AI to serve the public good, not to exploit the most vulnerable users. With the federal government unable to act to ensure AI protections, California does need to step forward. I really do believe that this bill is going to become a national model for AI protections, and I urge its passage, and I urge the governor to sign it. I know we're at the beginning of our legislative process, but I'm proud to stand with my two colleagues, with Megan Garcia, with Common Sense Media, to urge that this bill move forward and get ultimately signed. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for your leadership in this space. It's my honor to recognize now my colleague, Senator Akilah Weber-Pearson, co-author on the bill.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out. I want to first start by thanking my two colleagues, Senator Padilla and Senator Becker, for including me on this very important measure. And Ms. Garcia, as a mother myself, your strength to come up and alert all of us on this issue, to tell your story over and over and over again, is something that every parent in this country, in this world, is very grateful for. I know it is not difficult, but it speaks to not only your son, but to you and your entire family. So thank you so much. As a proud co-author of this bill, and a physician, and a mom to an 11 and 13-year-old who are very involved in technology, unfortunately, I recognize the vital importance of emotional well-being and mental health, especially for our children. Given the rapid rise of AI technology, I am particularly concerned about its impact on the mental health of our most vulnerable, our youth. SB 243 is designed to ensure that these technologies, particularly AI chatbots, do not harm our children. AI chatboxes are everywhere now. Kids are using them to chat, to seek psychiatric advice, and even to find companionship. While they are designed to be engaging and interactive, they can be equally dangerous, persuasive, and addictive. Children who are especially vulnerable, and they often seek these bots as something more than just a code. They trust them as they would a friend. Chatbots are algorithmically designed to grab and maintain the attention of the user. When a child, for example, gets a positive response from an AI, it gives them a rush of dopamine, kind of like the reward system. This feels good, and over time, it creates a dependency. In addition, many chatboxes are personalized and proactively engage with users to encourage future interaction. Unfortunately, this can lead to unhealthy attachments and isolation, where kids may prefer talking with a bot rather than engaging with real people. And this puts our children at immense risk. SB 243 is a crucial step in ensuring that our kids and their mental health are protected. This will require chatbot operators to implement safeguards to prevent addictive patterns, ensuring that kids aren't stuck in a cycle of unhealthy interactions. This bill would also make it clear to users that they're talking to AI, not a real person, so they don't place undue trust in a bot. Early intervention is critical when it comes to mental health. We cannot sit back. We cannot afford to sit back and wait for more tragedies to occur before we act. SB 243 is a preventive measure to ensure that the technology we introduce into our children's lives doesn't harm them. We need to hold these companies accountable for their impact that their technology has on our children. Let's be clear, I want to echo what my senators have said. We believe in the power of innovation, but it has to be done carefully and responsibly. This bill is about making sure that technology can be a positive force and not a harmful one. By supporting SB 243, we are making sure that our kids are safe and protected in this ever-evolving digital technology world. Together, we can ensure that they grow up in a world where technology helps them thrive, not hurt them. And with that, I ask for all of us to support and be very vocal about our support for SB 243. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for your leadership and collaboration around this. And finally, I'd like to invite Mike Ihothi, California Policy Director for Common Sense Media.
Hello, I'm Mike Ihothi with Common Sense Media. We are an organization focused on protecting kids and families in the digital space. And we're proud to support SB 243, authored by Senator Padilla, and supported by your colleagues, Senator Becker, Senator Weber-Pearson, and of course to you, Ms. Garcia, for being here today and sharing the story of your son, Sewell Setzer. It's a truly heart-wrenching story, and one of the saddest parts about his story is that it's not unique. There are children across the state and country who are engaging with AI companions daily. Children are especially at risk because AI companions simulate emotional bonds and build trust with the user. They mimic human emotions like empathy, and they are trained to remember that users' personal details over time, which helps to personalize future interactions and role play as friends or mentors. This is a growing problem because kids are actively using these problems. Character AI, the platform referenced in this situation here, is a popular AI companion, has 20 million users, many of whom are kids and teens. Common Sense Media, we released our Dawn of AI report, which showed that 7 in 10 kids already use generative AI tools, including companions. One would think that we'd learned our lessons from the rise of social media, which has been causing harm to kids and teens for over a decade. And there will be blood on our hands if we continue to do nothing. This bill is a very common sense approach to placing guardrails on AI companions. It establishes transparency measures, periodic reminders that chatbots are AI generated, disallows gamification to address the addictiveness of these platforms, requires annual reporting on the connection between chatbot use and suicidal ideation. I want to thank you again, Ms. Garcia, for sharing your tragic story, and I truly hope that we can protect others online by passing this out of the Senate Judiciary Committee today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ihothi, and thanks to Common Sense Media. At this time, we will entertain some questions. The request is please, when you're recognized, state your name and affiliation and who the question is directed to. Yes, ma'am.
analysis and echoed by the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Any response to those kind of issues raised about First Amendment protections?
I don't see the First Amendment issue personally. I think that it's completely in harmony with those concerns, so there's a respectful disagreement. With respect to the other amends that you may be referencing in terms of the scope, we talk a lot about government efficiency and government impact or lack thereof. And so it wasn't a stretch to first begin focusing on minor users whose developmental stage is particularly at risk. It makes them particularly vulnerable, but also, frankly, anyone, regardless of chronological age, who may be in mental health or behavioral health crisis. And so we see those things as very much in tune and well harmonized, and it just increases the scope and the impact of the bill, we hope. Yes, sir.
Hi. Yourself, Senator Becker, we all talked about Vision 1 is to be a more, even in the national framework, this, we just talked about kind of the need for California to step in on this particular issue and these types of issues when the federal government takes it.
Thank you for the question, and I'll invite Senator Becker also to address it. I'll just briefly say, look, respectfully, I think most of us know there's a great degree of dysfunction at the federal level currently, not necessarily a healthy focus. California has a great advantage. In the fourth largest economy in the world, the most populous state in the union, we often lead the nation in painting a vision and setting trends about public policy that are to the benefit of all Americans, whether you're in California or somewhere else. I think that's our advantage, but it's also our obligation. Senator Becker.
Yeah, I'll just agree with that and add on that many of these companies are headquartered in California. Many of them are in my district. I represent most of Silicon Valley. And I think that gives us an opportunity to support the technology industry, which we're grateful for the jobs and the leadership, but also a responsibility to make sure that the technology evolves responsibly and that we are putting the safeguards in place. So I think we have an opportunity and a really responsibility to lead the country, and that's why I worked on the Transparency Act I mentioned, the Education Work Group, the DELETE Act, and this bill, because I think people look to California, and a lot of times if California does it, then it does almost de facto become a national model.
Senator Wilbur, did you want to add
Sure. I'll just add on to that. I think we are all very well aware that, yes, things at the federal government are dysfunctional at this point, but even outside and before we had this level of dysfunction, we know that things at the federal government move a lot slower than they do on the state level. We, as California elected senators and legislators, have a responsibility to care for the 40+ million residents here in California. And so at times we cannot wait for the federal government to move because we have a responsibility to take care of our residents here. And so this is a problem, this is a growing issue. We are aware of it, and it would be negligence for us to not do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Yes.
I was wondering if this bill would apply to ChatGPT, Snaps, Chatbot. Almost every major tech company has a chatbot right now, but they're very broad. They go beyond just being a companion. How would this legislation apply to those products, and have you heard from some of these major tech companies?
Thank you for the question. We are in constant communication with stakeholders broadly in the industry and have heard those concerns. I would just say, and I think my colleagues would agree, and I'll let them speak for themselves, that the draft language is pretty discrete and specific about the types of product and deployment sort of scenarios that we are trying to address in the bill. There's certainly the deployment of a lot of algorithms right now that are very constrained and would not accommodate, because of the way in which they're written and designed, a broad conversation that could go off the rails the way we've seen with Companion. And so that's the intent of the bill, and that's the way the language is drafted, and we're going to continue to focus on making sure that we are addressing discreetly the problem and not impacting areas that will have little or no effect on the problem. Yes?
Just to follow up,
Hi.
what if a young person uses one of the broad platforms and it sort of turns into, creating a character that they're interacting with? In the same way, would that then
I think, thank you for the question. I mean, I think primarily the product design is intended to engage open-ended conversations, and let's be honest, they know the market, right? We had a statistic referenced, I think, by Common Sense Media, something of north of 20 million users. And so there is a particular model of algorithm that encourages engagement in a way that almost mimics reward and addiction for open-ended conversations, companionship. In fact, that's what we call it. And so I think we start with where the product design is intended to facilitate a type of conversation with anyone vulnerable, which is inherently dangerous. I think going beyond that is going to have to be something that we will, obviously take into account case by case as we move forward. Anybody else? Please speak loudly. If you're, not only because I'm getting old and getting deaf, but it's hard to hear in the room. All right. Yes. One more. We're going to be engaging, yes, and we are engaging all stakeholders. Any final comments from my colleagues? Ms. Garcia, thank you so very much. Thanks to all of you for attending and for your interest in this issue and your interest in the bill. Thank you.